Bill from Howell, New Jersey. Hi, Bill. How you doing today?
Hey, Tracie. Hey, Jen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have two questions for you, and if I could, I'd like to give you just a short 30-second history of my awakening, as I like to call it. I was raised
starting now.
I was raised Roman Catholic, which there was a lot of dogma, not so many fantastic claims, and there was a lot of Catholics in my town, so it was just a completely normal way to grow up. And when I got married, I married a born-again Christian. Attended church, kind of bounced from church to church, and never really wanted to put my kids in the kids' church. I always felt kind of uneasy when they asked to, hey,
good for you, Bill.
Yeah.
Let's take your kids this way. I never wanted to do that. We went to one church, and they had crutches on the wall. And when I looked at the crutches on the wall, I said, what are they there for? She said, well, those are the people that the pastor healed. Right then and there, I started thinking, this is crazy. What am I getting myself into? And I had a good friend who was a paraplegic who went to a faith healer and was told that his faith wasn't strong enough. So,
that's great. So blame the person who's paraplegic. Great.
Yeah. So I started reading the Bible, and I said, let me just read it for myself. I've never read it, and when I read it, I really started having doubts. Genesis was really just a bunch of bull crap to me, and researched evolution. Read a lot of Ken Miller, the Kitzmiller Dover trial. Found your show on YouTube and became an instant fan. And really, I liken myself to like a Jehovah's Witness who's gotten the word, and they're all excited about it. I'm excited about how much bullcrap this is. And I can't believe that people believe this. What else did I want to tell you? I wanted to say that I'm 39 years old, and I probably didn't have this awakening until I was 37. And it's like embarrassing, that you can be fooled for so long.
Oh, I'm right there with you, though, Bill. Don't be embarrassed.
How old were you?
Well, by the time I deconverted, I was probably around your age.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But the problem that I run into now is I've already, been married, and I've already raised my kids are 8 and 5 years old.
They're out of the house.
I've already taught them that, religion is the right way to go, and Jesus and the Bible is the truth. Now that I know that it's not.
Oh yeah.
I'm afraid to tell them. I'm actually afraid.
Well, yeah, you've got some.
I don't want them to go to school and say that they don't believe in God, because I know. Even here in New Jersey, we're not nowhere near the Bible Belt, but they're going to be discriminated against. They're going to get a lot of bad reaction from it. So I don't know when to tell them. I don't know what to tell them. When they're 21 and 22, and they're strong enough to defend themselves, and they're secure in who they are, I'll tell them how Daddy believes. But as of right now, I feel sad that I can't tell them how I believe. I can't tell them the truth. I have to perpetuate, the lie that I didn't. I don't want them to be 37 years old like I was and figure it all out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I totally know what you mean. And if it helps, we get letters like yours. That's not an uncommon situation for somebody to say, I'm married, and I was a believer when I got married, and my spouse is a believer. And we've even had letters from people who said, I'm engaged. Yeah. And we were both, zealous Baptists, and now I've deconverted, and I'm afraid to tell my fiance because I think this is going to ruin it.
Well, I told my wife, and it caused some problems with my wife and I, but we're past it. We love each other.
Well, but the thing is, you've got these two kids now, and you're saying you're having some kind of second thoughts about how the kids are being raised, what they're being taught, and what this is going to mean for them as they get older. And you have some questions about what it would mean if you were to actually tell them what you think. Yeah. And then my question would be, even though you and your wife have worked out whatever works between you, what is her, where is she at? Where's her head at on this?
She doesn't want me to tell them how I believe.
Okay.
I agree with her only for the fact that I don't want them to lose friends. I don't want, I don't know. I feel embarrassed even saying this, but I know what's going to happen. They could go to school and say, my daddy doesn't believe in God, and I don't believe in God. And, their friends are going to look at them different. Their teachers are going to look at them different. I used to look at people different who were atheists. Which brings me to my second question. I'll ask you when I'm done with this. But I used to think that atheists were lost people, and I know they're going to be viewed that way, and I don't want them to suffer that in school.
I understand. Yeah, I understand totally what you're saying. You don't want them to be treated with prejudice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
Bill,
children?
I do.
Jen does.
How old are they?
My son is 4.5, and he does not have, he doesn't even know anything about religion or God or anything like that. We don't actually think that's a very appropriate topic to bring up to an impressionable child.
Yeah.
So we haven't told him anything about that.
That's kind of where I am. I don't, I can't see, even my 8-year-old though. He's starting to ask questions.
Well,
I don't want him to get to be like 15 and 16 and say, well, how come you were lying to me all this time? You didn't tell me how you really believe.
yeah, and the thing is, that doesn't mean that we won't tell him anything about it, because one of the things that I think it's important to do with young children is teach them to think for themselves and give them the tools so that when they're approached by their theist classmates, they're not vulnerable to that. And so essentially, when he's a little older, we'll start inoculating him against these beliefs so that when he gets to school, he might lose a few friends over this. But you know what? Those people probably... My impression of this is that if you lose a friend because you're an atheist, they probably really didn't like you very much anyway, and your atheism is the excuse they use to dump you.
Yeah, I think that's fine if you're an adult, but if you're a 10 or 12-year-old child...
Yeah, I understand you have the child's parents to deal with, too.
Yeah, and I understand, too, Bill. Believe me, my mother's family is from New Jersey, and it's all Italian Catholic.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about. This is, boy, I mean, it's such a complicated thing when you have another spouse that feels differently. When there is something, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's something called the Universal Unitarian or Unitarian Universalist
Unitarian Universalist,
Church.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like something that a lot of atheists attend, and it's an interfaith church that has even atheist members. So a lot of people that are looking for community and who are sort of in a situation where there's this religious ambiguity like you're describing, will attend these UU churches.
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of asking about your wife and where she's at. I don't know but it would be an easy transition to get the kids into a UU situation where they probably wouldn't notice anything beyond we changed churches.
Yeah.
And then they would be in a situation where, at the very least, they wouldn't be being indoctrinated into a highly specific fundamentalist religion. They would have a real open playing field with lots of different religious beliefs, including no religion, that would be presented. I'm sorry, what?
What was the name of that organization?
They're the Unitarian or Unitarian Universalists.
Yeah.
And they're just big interfaith so that you can keep the society and the structure of like a church situation. And they do the few sermons, I'm going to put sermons in quotes, the few sermons I've heard from UU preachers have actually been more like lectures on religious, like comparative religion. So it's actually kind of educational in that they'll talk about religious histories or religions in different parts of the world. It's actually not a bad place to go if that's the kind of structure that you're looking for and you have a family and you want that kind of social, backbone.
Yeah. Another option, Bill, is ethical culture societies. And you can just do a Google search on ethical culture and you should come up with some stuff. These actually are recognized in most places as a non-theistic religion.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's the same kind of thing. You've got this sense of community. They have secular Sunday school and things like that. So there's some other options out there besides regular religion.
Yeah, I mean, we've stopped going to church. It's one thing that my wife is a little upset about. She really enjoyed going to church and, hearing a pastor.
Well, then
this could be a really good compromise.
Yeah, I guess it could be. And so the first one you said was the Unitarian University Society?
Unitarian Universalist.
Universalist.
Yeah, and sometimes they're just called UU.
Okay, Universalist. And the other one was the Ethical Cultural Society.
Yeah, ethical culture.
These are like local groups that you can go to?
Yeah, UU churches are found pretty well scattered, so you should be able to find something somewhere nearby.
What would they teach? What would they?
Well, like I was saying, you could go in there and hear like a lecture on like religious histories. It might not be a history of Christianity. It might be like a lecture on like something about Hindu or something. I mean, they just it's just huge. It's this big, embracive church. Somebody's letting us know it's been around for a while.
Yeah, we've actually even had Unitarian presidents. So I can't think of the name. John Adams. That's right.
So yeah, it's definitely it's more like a lecture format. It's not like a sermon format. You go in and they just sort of teach. They teach about different ideas. Sometimes they teach about like ethics or morality or social, like civic duty and things like that. So they have it's just a very sort of positive experience, and they're just not real. It's nothing critical. It's like you go in there and everybody's welcome, and if you don't believe, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to find people that would define themselves as Christians. So you'll find people that define themselves as atheists. Some that are Buddhists, maybe, or Wiccans or whatever. It's sort of like a BYOG, the bring your own God kind of thing.
And a lot of theists would probably feel comfortable there that aren't really into a specific doctrine, who just say, well, I believe in God, but I don't really like the whole doctrinal thing. You know? Except
what I've decided to do now is just, when they ask me questions, I'm going to answer them honestly.
That I recommend that.
You have to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to change them or try to push anything down their throat. I think when they're old enough to start asking me questions, they already know that I believe in evolution. You know what I mean? And my wife explains to them, well, Daddy does believe in evolution, and that's God's plan for us to evolve. So we can take God out of the picture. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't I wish somebody would have. I don't know what what really woke me up was just seeing those crutches on the wall and saying to my wife, how come you can only heal people with a limp? How come you can't? Why doesn't an amputee go up there and get a new arm?
Because they don't have sufficient faith, apparently.
They don't have sufficient faith. Why can't my friend who's a paraplegic get his spinal cord put back together? And none of that ever happens. And what really, really did it when I started researching was the Dover trial. When you watch that was what I was waiting for, I guess, my whole life, to see the experts on religion or creation and the experts on evolution have it out.
Yeah.
Put it all on the table. Let's have a court case. And they got blown. The creationists got blown away.
Yeah.
Absolutely blown away. They didn't even, redirect or ask questions about testimony from the evolutionists. They just kind of stated what they wanted to state. And that's what really did it for me. So, and Ken Miller, you guys know who Ken Miller is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Christian.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Which I wrote to him, and he actually wrote me back, and I was surprised to find that out. So I know I've been on a while. I don't want to keep you guys.
That's all right.
It just brings me to my last question. After finding out that he was like the real thing for me, that really kind of pushed me over the edge and made me become awake, as I like to say. And to find out that he was still a Christian, I started questioning. I'm the only one in my family who believes the way I believe, and I'm constantly asked, "Well, what are you now? You're not a Christian anymore?" And it's breaking my mother's heart.
I'm sure.
I've lost somebody in the family already who won't speak to me. They think I'm evil. They don't necessarily think I'm evil. They think I'm standing in a busy road and I'm about to be hit by a car, and they need to tell me to get out of the way.
And I don't mean, when I smile, I'm not laughing at your situation. I understand that this is serious for you. It's just, to me, it's just kind of ironically funny, sad, however you want to label it. It's hard for me to believe, the impact that religion has on families and society. And I hate to hear it, but it's so ridiculous, even though I understand it's, personal for you.
Well, I tell you what, I've never felt so content,
Well, good.
I'm never going to burn in hell. I'm just, it's such a good feeling to know the truth, and I know I have it now. But constant questions from, say, especially my mother. Well, what are you now?
Okay.
And I don't know how to answer her. I've looked at the definitions on your guys' website, and I'm still confused. I'll tell you my belief, and you give me a label, okay?
Well, here's a first question that might help, okay? There's a claim God exists. Do you accept that claim is true?
I don't know.
Okay, then you're an atheist, number one.
See, I thought I was agnostic, even because I'm using the word I don't know. I believe there's a God. I have no proof that there's one. I want to believe that there's one. I don't want to believe that we're worms.
Okay, but when I asked you, I said there's a claim God exists, right?
Mm.
Do you believe that claim is true? If you believe God exists, then your answer to that
I think so.
Okay, then the answer is yes. That means you're a theist.
I'm a theist.
Okay? That just simply means that you believe a God exists.
Okay.
Okay?
What's the difference between a theist and an agnostic?
Well, it's not a difference between them. It's two different things. So you're a theist because you believe a God exists.
Okay.
Now you followed that up with, but I don't know. I don't know. So it's kind of like if I were to say, I believe my husband is faithful, but I don't know. Okay? So I think it's true that he's faithful, but I understand I could be wrong.
Right.
And that's what you're saying. And that would make you an agnostic theist.
I'm an agnostic theist.
But if you're talking to your Catholic mother whom you wish to not have break her heart, you probably just want to say, I'm a theist, I still believe in God. You don't need to explain to her that you're not sure, and you can just tell your mom, I still believe in God. And if that's, for her, the fact that you're not Catholic is probably sufficient to just send her over the edge. But
no, you know what? She's a little bit open-minded.
Okay, good.
She's 70 years old, and she went from, in the last few months of me, we constantly have these debates, which I love. I really, really love to have these debates. Not so much with Mom, because I feel like I'm beating her up. But she thought that evolution meant that you don't believe in God, and evolution that we come from monkeys, and I try to explain to her, and I show her some books on evolution, and she went from completely not believing in it to believing in it. She's a full-fledged believer in evolution now.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And she just thinks, it's God's plan and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I told her I was an agnostic, and it really upset her. Don't tell people you're an agnostic.
What will they think?
What? We started, I met a couple of friends who believe, like-minded, and we go out and we talk. We'll meet at a bar or whatever, and we'll have these conversations. People will bring their books. And we talk in hushed tones because, people start to look over, and you know what I mean? It's just, I never thought that I would be discriminated against. I never knew what it was like to be discriminated against, and I'm kind of starting to get that now.
Wow.
Which is why I don't want to pass that on to the kids right now.
So this is like prejudice against a theist by, doctrinal theists.
Wow.
I guess it just, you can't escape it. All right, well, is there anything else, Bill? We got another caller on. It's been patient.
No, that's it. But I'm an agnostic theist. I just want to get it right. I'm an agnostic theist because I believe a God exists. I just don't believe anybody really knows how or what.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it.
Now you need to work on why you believe a God exists.
Just on faith.
Oh, then that's an admission that you don't have evidence.
I think
Right,
he
no, I
understands that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't believe I have any evidence at all. I mean, I don't believe anybody does. And I love when people call your show and they say they have proof for God.
Oh, yeah.
You guys,
We love it, too.
We love it, too.
Yeah,
in fact,
you guys don't chuckle. You're just like, oh, good. I love to hear that.
yeah, we wish the chat room would send us some of the theists that show up there.
Oh, well.
Yeah. All right, well, have a good show, guys.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Bill.
Thank you.